Human impact on the lithosphere. So let's start back at where the Dust Bowl happened. This was in 1930s. It was a terrible drought and a huge windstorm blew away a lot of the topsoils. So pretty much the entire population and everything was affected. And look at all that big old smoke. It really wasn't smoke, it was just dust, and it was definitely a lot of erosion. So, what causes soil erosion? Well, soil erosion, we already talked about it before, is the same thing because of water, wind, ice, and gravity, and it causes erosion. Running water can lead to that, right? If we have too much water running, as in the runoffs, activities that remove vegetation can disturb the ground and it can increase erosion. Humans have a lot of say so in this. Farming, grazing, lodging deforestation, mining, construction, urbanization, and recreational activities. First thing is farming. Of course, we need to have farms because we need to eat, right? So we call that agriculture. So agriculture is the production of food and fiber from plants and animals. So that is one reason why we have farms. One of the biggest causes of soil erosion was a huge amount of land that is needed to produce food. So we clear out acres. I'm talking about 20, 30 acres of land just to create crops for us to eat. So that's a lot of land that's missing the natural habitat. In this production, soil is disturbed in order for plants to grow, harvest, and prepare fields for new crops. So as you till it, you break the roots and it allows this erosion to take place. Now, this causes a runoff in the farms. So remember, runoffs is when the water kind of goes down or it goes somewhere and it messes up an area. So sewage and farm erosion causes nutrients to enter the lake, so now it pollutes the lakes. Overnourishment of the lake causes algae to bloom and grow a lot. Okay, you ever seen like a lake and it looks more like just floating green stuff, or the lake is totally green? Well, algae shades plants below and fish die. Okay, so then dead things are decomposed by bacteria, which makes it uses up the oxygen and begins to make it stink. You ever went to a pond and it stunk? Oh my gosh, this is why. All right, so how can we prevent it? Well, we got to prevent it by terracing. So this is reduces runoff by trapping soil at the end of each step, as well as we want to have ground cover. This is plants trap soil in the roots, so we want to make sure we have plants near the edge so it will prevent the runoff. We also want to build and protect soil. So topsoil takes a long time to be made, so we need to protect it through compost so plants can grow. So we want to protect our topsoil. We don't want to keep kind of tilling it. Retention ponds trap off runoff in areas. So like for instance, every time, like even behind this building at San Hope, you go behind it, there's a little pond and it's in the fence. It's because that is a retention pond that traps off runoff. So as they was building, they did that to capture all the dirt and everything inside that area so it would not spread. Sediments, fences, buffers, construction sites. So we put it there. When people make build things, you see big old fences and stuff, especially in the rural area or if we in the country, is because again we don't want the sediments to fly everywhere, causing levels of erosion. So why is the agricultural land needed? Why do we need it then? If it's hurting us so bad, well, you need to eat, right? We need to produce more food. Look at this. This is, as you see, they built little cement to stop erosion. And how this is, I wouldn't want to live on this side. This is a video that you will have a link to see. All right, so why is it needed more than just food? Well, therefore, we use most of it for land farming. We want to do as much as possible for land farming, but due to the urban sprawl, people are just trying to take houses and build them wherever they can, and it makes it hard for have land to grow food. So commercial agriculture is one of the biggest large-scale productions for crop sales. So we need this for wholesalers and retailers. So if we didn't have a commercial area land, then we wouldn't be able to get our apples and oranges. For those who are vegan and eat all nothing but all these organic vegetables, you wouldn't have no farmers market. You wouldn't have any of that if we didn't have a commercial agriculture. So there is some consequences though with taking all that land, because traditionally it's a small scale that's replaced by big farming operations using chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Pesticides is not good. Put yourself as a bug. If pesticides keeps away pests and insects, But what happens is once they begin to eat the plant, they begin to die immediately. Now imagine they're very small. Now when we begin to eat the plants, are taking in this. And eventually what's going to happen for us? We get cancer and we die early because we're taking in stuff that has pesticides. And those pesticides, if it's killing a bug instantaneously, it's killing us slowly. So again, there is need for removal of forest land to produce agricultural land. However, this may take away from the land you need for your houses. So now what do? What happens is we begin to cause animals and they graze. Of course, they eat grass. So as they eat grass, they eat and wander over large areas of vegetation, and then they eat it dry. So now that land becomes useless, and it takes a while for the grass to grow back. So the animals expose the soil to erosion, and when they remove the plants to tear up the soil with the hooves, so you got them running and all that grass is coming up. It's not just staying in one spot. So, and it so happens to people have overgrazing when there's too many animals in an area. So now the animals die because it's competition, but there's too much animals in one spot. Problem with this is destruction of vegetation causes too many grazing animals consuming the plants in one area. This is going to be too much movement on the soil. Plants cannot recover and grow back because it's too much. So like for instance, if you drove in your yard every day in the same spot in the grass, eventually that grass is not going to grow because it's got so used to the movement. So the solution is rotate your animals from lot to lot and don't put too many animals on a single field. Now let's talk about wood because we're going into deforestation and logging. So but wood is one of our big energy sources and it's burned directly for energy. So wood heats water, creates steam, turns turbine, generates energy, or also combustion. Wood is hard. It's renewable, but it takes almost 150 years for a tree to grow as tall as the pine trees you see in the forest. So logging and deforestation. So logging is the harvesting of the trees for production of lumber or wood products. So you see them all the time on the back of the thing. Have you ever seen Final Destination and a logging truck? All the trees fell off and killed the person. Yeah. However, those trees, you see how all the bark and stuff is gone. That's called logging. Deforestation is when we cut down the trees and we lose the forest. Okay, tree roots hold the soil together, so that's why, and it becomes like a canopy. So when we have the trees, it kind of stops the rain from hitting the ground so much and you only get a little bit of rain, so it's like a protection. And then the roots, they take up the extra water so you don't have that water flowing and too much runoff. Leaf litter, the dead leaves and stuff, actually will fall on the ground and protect the ground from erosion, so then it kind of stops the water, so now you have a leafy bottom but it's not really that wet, and the wind can't really blow through it. But why do we need deforestation? Well, first of all, don't you need a house to stay in? Well, we want to go to a store. Um, we need it for ranches, but we need more land. The thing is, we need paper. We need to make money. We need wood. So we have a lot of common things that we need trees for. Now, there's some consequences, though, of deforestation. It can give us, of course, erosion and landslides because, again, the roots of the trees kind of hold everything together. And once you remove this, you open up a lot of area. Another consequence would be habitat loss. I mean, how would you feel if somebody came and got a bulldozer and knocked your house down? You wouldn't like that very much, right? Because you got to find some words to say. Well, the animals are the same way. Since 1990, okay, I was born in 91. So you're talking about 30 years ago, half of the world's rainforest was destroyed. Half of the world's rainforest as well. More than half of the animal and plant species just live in tropical forests. And now they're just floating around. And most of them are now going to a place of being extinct and endangered. So habitat destruction, when you remove the topsoil, the peat below it, you remove the possibility of that habitat recovering. So once you move the peat, and that's very important, once you remove that peat, it's basically hard for the houses to come back and it to be like it was before. The ground may never grow back the same. So what is peat, Ms. Cheek? Well, peat is particularly the carbonized organic material. This is a non-renewable resources. The energy here, dry peat is burned as fuel and also used in agriculture. We need peat. Look at all this. We need that peat because it makes us have healthy vegetation. It's carbonized with organic molecules and stuff. So it's that matter, that decaying matter makes this grow and makes the other plants grow phenomenally. Now drilling. When we drill, we actually go and see what's under here. So we have gas, we have oil, and we have water. Of course, we need oil, right? Oil is a liquid fossil fuel. So we do have technology, as you see, oil reservoirs are pretty much in the ocean because that's where the best oil is, and the technology is improving rates of oil, leading to the discovery of oil in new places. So we go for deeper water. So this is where people work who get oil. Okay, um, oil in the environment. So high environmental impact. Okay, um, spills highlight potential risk of offshore drilling, and as you can see here, look at the color of the water. You see it's kind of black and muddy. We can't drink that water. We can't live. Nothing can live in all this contaminated water. We have some clean water here. So this happened actually in Mexico. It spilled 4.4 million barrels of crude oil. This damaged marine and wildlife habitats. But natural gas, so we need natural gas, right? Some people have natural gas to do their house for heating, and we need gas as well just for our cars. So preferred option for newer power stations because it's lower cost and capital. So, and it doesn't take that long to build. As well as energy here is most efficient to burn, more energy through the combustion. So currently Russia is 25%, Iran is 16%, Qatar is 14%. They dominate the natural gas industry. Why do you think we have it in for Russia and Iran? Do you think it's just because we don't like them? No, we're doing it because we need this right here. United States wants to have that. Iran is really small, right? Qatar is small. Russia is not as big, and we have the United States, and we're not even dominating the natural industry, the natural gas industry. We want what they have. So natural gas in the environment. The natural gas is cleaner, is low carbon content, okay? And it's definitely doesn't bring a lot of air pollution. Now, large amounts of water is required for this. But this means the water waste has to be dealt with. We can't have this and have a water waste messed up. So when you're drilling, you're also doing a form of mining. So mining, we will remove the valuable resources from Earth. So we do it for oil, we do it for the natural gas, and we also do it for coal. Surface mining is just basically leads to vulnerable erosion. Look at this. So we're looking on the surface. This is there's no grass, so we're just making these empty spots, and erosion is definitely going to happen. So look at this place right here. Oh, look at all the pretty trees, and we got boom, just a big old dead spot. So coal. So coal is a solid fossil fuel, and it's one of the least expensive sources of power. Energy, you just burn it, and it creates steam, and it's also through combustion. So now, what is coal in the environment? Well, it contributes to global warming, though. That is bad. As well as if we keep burning it, it can include sulfur dioxide that will make acid rain. Emissions growing from the countries is expected to grow. So when we burn it, we have it here. But the thing is, once we keep burning it, it's going to eventually get like this, and it's going to flood the atmospheres. Construction and urbanization. So urbanization is that means we're trying to be urban and build cities. Okay, build key term here is cities. Constructing buildings and roads churns up the ground. So as we do that, we got to rip up the ground. We got to put this on it and all the machinery, and that's causing the ground to be exposed, causing soil erosion. Water runoff. I can't stand when I go to Walmart sometimes and that water, the parking lot be filled with water like I'm about to go swimming. When I went to UNC Pembroke, like our parking lot, like people was getting literally kayaks and canoes because that water was so deep. It goes up about 6 feet deep in the parking lot, and this speeds up erosion. So really, what is urbanization? Again, we're building cities and urban areas for royal migration, and as well as the concentration of cities. We want to make cities like this, and that's why they try to make taller buildings, especially when you go up north. They're trying to save space, but hey, you're still cutting down things to put more things. So I want you to click on this link on your note outline, and I actually want you to see what's the population right now in the world. You can click on the states as well. But why is this needed? Well, people need places to live, right? So urbanization, we have to build new stuff in the cities, as well as we have to do deforestation to build more houses. But as the human population increases, the need for urbanization also increases. So when you get a chance, click on the census clock and actually look. Now, there is some negative consequences of urbanization. Urban sprawl is the multifaceted concept centered around the expansion of low density development. So, with more people moving into the suburbs, you need to remove trees and build houses. So then we have overpopulation, and then overpopulation means we don't have enough land, and it goes on from there. And if we don't have enough land, we won't have enough crops, and then eventually somebody's got to die. Food chain. So, recreational activities. If you like me, I like to four wheel and go outside and play ball. But off road vehicles disturb the landscape. Some of y'all like to go mudding and stuff, and this eventually makes it where plants cannot grow because you done ripped up all the soil. Even hikers, when they actually go hiking and stuff, their boots is actually all that treading allow messes up the soil. So now the thing is, soil erosion is real. Soil erosion is as natural as any other type of erosion, but human activities have greatly accelerated soil erosion. Some locations is 10 times faster, 10 times faster because of the activity that's there. Since Europeans settled in North America, over 1/3 of our topsoil is gone. Over 1/3. You know what 1/3 is? That's 33%. Man, we gotta chill out. What are you doing to inspire the environment? What are you doing to make this better? And what can we do starting from today to save our lives?